This is going to be a video on unseizing a seized vintage sewing machine. This one here is seized. So the first thing we're going to do is clean it out. We're going to make sure there's no physical obstructions in the machine. And first thing I'm going to do is just pop off this faceplate. So we got some dust in there. I'm going to get my vacuum cleaner. So on this vacuum cleaner I have an attachment. It's small and it can suck up dust like that, but it will not suck up tiny screws. I'm just going to vacuum all these dust bunnies out of here. Machine's probably sat for years. For the stuff that doesn't want to come up with the vacuum, you're going to get some kind of brush. I like these little toothbrush heads. You're just going to knock it loose while you vacuum. You want to do this before you put any liquid of any kind in there, because if you put liquid on that dust, it's just going to turn into like wet felt. It's going to jam it up pretty good. Now we're going to check out the underneath. Just want to verify that you don't have any major dust. See, I'm going to have to clean. So, see that spot in there? We got a massive buildup in there of lint. I'm just going to get in there with a pair of tweezers. Just pull that out. A lot of buildup. Still got a lot built up lint in here. Oh, and you want to be careful. A little piece of red in there. That is actually a little wick for the oil. So that's the one piece there that we don't want to remove. It's on a lot of older Singers. You want to be careful to work around that. Gonna get back in there with the vacuum. So now I got it dusted. I'm just gonna put kerosene on every point where metal is touching metal. Gonna apply it like oil. So what this is actually doing is it's softening the old oil. And put a lot in back here. I also see people who will use WD-40 for this, or other or like penetrating oil, liquid wrench. Not a good idea. When you put a penetrant in a machine like this, it's going to start loosening up screws and various other things that you really do not want loose. This is how I get machines unstuck quick. but it's still got a ways to go. So now everywhere that is a point of friction has been shot with kerosene, and turning the hand wheel, and it's still got a really rough spot there. Probably can't hear it because of the rain. Now that the kerosene's in there, it doesn't seem to be freeing up much more than it did after pulling the dust out the bobbin. So, the next stage is to move it to the roughest spot in the cycle. I got a real rough spot there. And yeah, that's the roughest spot. So I'm going to move it to this spot where it doesn't want to move. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wiggle it back and forward ever so slightly and try and see if I can get either the needle bar to move without the bobbin moving, or the hook to move without the needle bar moving. So whichever one's not moving, it means that the jam is on that half of the inner workings. So say this needle was totally frozen and the bobbin seemed like it was really trying to move. I know if that's the case that my jam is between this needle, could be somewhere up in here, could be up in this main shaft, but it's not down there. It would be somewhere up in there. Now this one is hard to tell, but there's a spot there where it looks like the bobbin moves a little more than the needle at the roughest spot. You see this little edge here? Sometimes you'll see that move a little bit when the needle is not moving. Really. It's almost imperceptible. It seems like what's getting caught up is on the top half here. So I'm going to start with my needle bar area. I'm just going to heat that up while I'm rocking it back and forth through that rough spot. And I'm just feeling for anything that feels like it's freeing up that rough spot a little bit more. And this actually does feel like it's freeing up pretty quickly. And I can see the old grease actually melting there. I got another rough spot here. We'll try and work that one out. Ooh, that one doesn't seem like it's freeing up as much. Let's move to the next point. So once I've established which half of the machine it's on, I'm just working my way back to this center shaft, point by point, and seeing what frees up as I heat it. Now it could be that part of your jam is up top and the other part's in the lower half of the machine. So since I'm starting with the top half and I'm moving towards the hand wheel, next spot I'm going to heat up, since I can't get in there, is through this little viewing window, service window. Since I'm going point by point towards the hand wheel, I'm going to hit through here. As you can see, it's fairly rusty in there. I've already shot a little bit of kerosene in there. And now I'm going to heat that area up and just keep working my wheel. Yeah, it does seem like that was a good part of my jam there. Yeah. I can see it's turning freer the more I do this. So seeing as we've located most of our jam, I'd say it's about time that I can oil this. I haven't even put any oil in it up to this point, and got pretty good movement out of it. So just shoot oil same way you shot kerosene. Every point of friction, anywhere that seems like it needs to be oiled, all oil holes. Anywhere there's moving parts, that's where you want to oil. Get some oil down this oil wick. The hand wheel. This is always a super important spot back here that everybody forgets. The oil port right next to the hand wheel. Gonna shoot oil everywhere in it. Alright, so now we're just gonna stand this guy back up, give it a little turn. Definitely a whole lot freer. So now I'm just going to keep running oil through it for the rest of the day. I'll probably oil it 2 or 3 more times, just let it soak in. So let's say that theoretically, after all that, the machine was still jammed up. Just keep shooting kerosene in, say 3 to 4 times a day. And then what I do if they're that seized is I will grab my electronics duster, basically compressed air, and this will force kerosene down into all the holes. I'll do that for 3 days or so, and if it's not free by then, that's when I turn to my liquid wrench. Kerosene will break down your old oil. But yeah, I see other guys on YouTube using WD-40 and penetrance. I see no reason to use WD-40 on a sewing machine. I've seen a couple of videos where one of the first things they do when a sewing machine is jammed is pulling the hook off. And I really don't see the point in doing that. As you saw, I didn't need to pull the hook off this machine at any point. The jam was all up here, and those guys, the first thing they will do is go to pulling the hook off. In my mind, that should be the last thing you do, because if you're pulling the hook off, you're going to have to retime the machine. And if the timing on your machine is already good, why would you mess with it? There's very few reasons to ever mess with the timing of the machine. But I got it unseized without ripping apart the races and the hook and having to retime it.